Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been almost 3 years, 3 years since I posted, but I'm back. I just got a little lazy, but I wanted to do a tutorial on this little space guy here that I drew on Procreate. So it's gonna be a multi-part tutorial. This one's just gonna go over getting the sketch down and manipulating the images. So let's get started. All right, to be honest, I recorded this a few weeks ago. I'm just now doing the voiceovers, so let's hope I can remember what I was doing. Just kidding. Anyways, you're gonna open up a new canvas. I think I did 8.5 by 11. Choose whatever canvas you want to choose. And I imported the photo. Now, when you import a photo, you can slide to the left and insert a private photo. However you want to do it. The thing with the private photo is when you play a recording of you drawing, it doesn't pop up. So sometimes that's cool. But anyways, I inserted all the pictures that I'll need, which is this astronaut dude that I took as a statue I have in my house, and then two jellyfish pictures that I want to use to replace the helmet with. So inserted those three and cropping this image real quick just because I didn't need all that stuff, and then enlarging it to the size that I want it to be. You can do it however you want, however big or small you want it to be. I just have it taking up the majority of the page. All right, and once I'm done with that, I go to the selection tool at the top under freehand mode, and I'm gonna make a circle around the helmet part because I want to replace that with something else, with the jellyfish image. So once I do that, I click the copy and paste button, and would you look at that, it creates a layer for me with that selection. All right, so whatever image you plan on using, just make sure it's directly on top of your helmet layer, and then select the clipping mask. Then move that image on top of your helmet. Because you have a clipping mask on, it's going to act in this way that'll only fill the shape of the helmet. So I'm turning down the opacity and just moving it around to figure out how I want it to fit. It's up to you. There's no right or wrong. However you want your image to look within the helmet. And then I'm also adding a clipping mask to the other image because I'm adding two different pictures of jellyfish and doing the same thing, putting it where I want it to go, and then messing with the opacity so I can kind of see the image behind it to see how they kind of overlap with each other. And yeah, so now I'm just turning off those layers so they're not visible. So I'm unchecking the boxes. Going back to my helmet layer, and I'm just cleaning it up a bit. You really don't have to do this. I don't know why. I just had outlined too much of the helmet, so I got rid of some parts that wouldn't have jellyfish on them, just the helmet part. So just cleaning it up with the eraser tool. And once I'm done with that, let's see what I'm about to do here. Okay, so I'm going to that second jellyfish layer and erasing some of the background just so I can see the image behind it a bit better. So yeah, I'm just kind of cleaning up right now before we start manipulating the images. All right, so now I'm just messing with the opacity of the two jellyfish images until it's how I want it to look. And then once I finish that, you'll see me pinch the two layers together with my fingers, and that will put them all on one layer. So it puts both images on one layer. All right, now you're gonna go to your the little arrow tool at the top. I think it's the selector tool. I don't know what I'm doing here. Anyways, go to the selector tool, the warp option, and then the advanced mesh option. And you'll see all these little dots on a plane, and you can manipulate those in any way you want. So since this is a helmet, I'm trying to kind of mimic a sphere. So you see me kind of bending the mesh into some type of sphere shape. So do the best you can. Yeah, and the purpose of this is just to kind of give it a little bit more of a realistic effect, to make it kind of seem like the jellyfish are in a bowl looking helmet thing. But yeah, then I'm turning on the original layer of the astronaut just to see how it looks. Once I'm happy with that, I'm gonna merge the jellyfish and the helmet together to make one layer, and then you'll see me merge both images right here, because now I have my reference photo complete. I'm cool with it. I'm ready to start sketching. All right, so before we start the sketch, I'm gonna turn down the opacity to around like 50%, just so when I start sketching, I can see what I'm sketching over the image. So then on that first layer, you're gonna rename it to, I put sketch, rename it to whatever will help you stay organized. And once you do that, goodness, it took forever. Once you do that, go to your brushes and go to the inking section of brushes on your brush library, and you'll see one called Studio Pen. Now I made a duplicate of that brush so that I can manipulate one of them. So duplicate that, and under the one you're gonna manipulate, turn the streamline all the way up. And that just helps your sketch look less like jittery. So pick any dark color you want. I'm just testing out the size of the pen right now before I start sketching. And then once you're happy with the size, go ahead and sketch over your image. There is no right or wrong way to do this. You can start anywhere. I just started at the bottom. And you'll see me like sketch the like obvious shapes, but then I'll also go in there and sketch over the highlights and some of the like contours, just to kind of help me have a good guideline before we start coloring it in. So like I said, there's no right or wrong way. This is what I do, what helps me, and it's my tutorial, so I can do it how I want. Just kidding, but this is how I do it, and I find it easier. Just marking out the highlights, anything of importance that will help me when the time comes to start coloring everything in. But yeah, the rest of this video, to be honest with you, is just sped up video of me sketching. So I mean, definitely like keep watching if it helps you. I did realize I tried to make this video like as short as possible, but in doing that, I think I kind of made it a little too short. So I understand if you're very new to Procreate, it was probably a little hard to follow along with like each step that we went over before if you don't know like where the buttons are or like how to utilize Procreate. So my apologies for that. Just let me know in the comments if it was too fast. I know for me personally, like I like to get straight to the point. So, but also like this is a tutorial. I'm trying to teach people how I do things. So if it was too fast for part 2 and onwards, we can definitely slow it down. But yeah, I'm just sketching over highlights, contours, main shapes. And the more detailed you can be during this sketch, the better. And it'll be definitely more helpful once you get to the stage of filling things in with color. So it's just like a really nice guideline of where things should be. And you'll see, I'll do it here in a second, but I did realize that my sketch layer was actually underneath my image layer, so I just moved it on top. Just always put your sketch layer on the very top, just so the lines show a bit darker, because technically you're sketching over the image, but I fixed it. So yeah, sketch layer goes on top. And if you're interested, I have a few other tutorials on my channel. And they're very beginner tutorials for people who like aren't super familiar with Procreate, so feel free to check those out. But here I am just finishing up the sketch, and I'm hoping maybe to make this another, I don't know, 2 or 3 parts of this tutorial, and we should be able to finish it up. Because from here on out, it's simply just coloring in, using different layers and coloring in. We will be using the oil paint brush for this tutorial, so you'll see in the next couple of parts. That is the brush I decided to use for this, and I think it's really nice because it is similar to like real oil paint where you do have to use layers, so it is kind of fun to do, but we'll go over that in the next parts of this tutorial. And if at any time you feel like you can't really see what you're sketching on top of, like you can't see the picture, just go open that layer and increase the opacity like I just did, just so you can see what you're sketching. And once you're done with your sketch, you have two options. You can either use a reference tool like within Procreate to do your reference photo, which is totally fine, but I don't know why I like this, but I like to duplicate the photo, move it to the top layer, and then resize that and move it into the top corner. And that's just how I like to do my reference photo, but up to you how you want to do it. This is how I'm doing it. No right or wrong. But yeah, stay tuned for part 2 of this tutorial. Thank you.